Hi everyone, welcome back to Generation Acres Farm. In our last video, I shared with you about our Katahdin sheep and specifically about the one that was so close to having lambs. She was so huge in that video. It was crazy. Well, turns out, I think it was just 2 days after I filmed that video, she went into labor. All right, it's the next day and we are noticing some things that look quite suspicious. She looks a little bit extra swollen today. She's holding her tail out even more than she was yesterday. She's separating herself a lot from the rest of the sheep and goats, and we just saw her laying down and kind of looked like she was
her head back,
yeah,
straining like
yes
goats.
Yes, for sure. So we're coming to check on them, on her.
See, like she's breathing real fast.
So the kids think I'm just imagining things, and but I just have this feeling. Sorry, I was watching her. She's just doing such funny things. I feel like she's pushing right now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think she might be. She was laying down, definitely acting funny. I was about to take the kids to go pick up milk, but maybe we won't be doing that. Oh my goodness. She's making this funny grunting noise right now, and she's been like walking and pausing and like putting her head down, almost like she's like having a contraction. She's acting really funny right now. Maybe we won't be leaving. Maybe it's time. Listen, she's like, don't go any closer. She's like, hear that? That's not normal. Yeah, that's not a normal sound. We don't want to make her worried, so we're not going to get close. Hear that? Not normal for her. She's making some funny noises. I'm thinking she's contracting, and that's why she keeps pausing and like putting her head down.
She's breathing real fast.
Yeah, it just makes me think. Oh look, there's stuff coming out.
Oh,
Guys,
oh my word.
it's happening.
It's happening.
There's like a little, I'm sure you can see. Sorry, it's a little graphic, but today's the day. Oh my word. So I was right. It's for sure happening. She's got goop and things coming out. She's making funny noises that she doesn't normally make. Pawing at the ground, having contractions, stuff like that. So today's definitely the day. We are praying everything goes smooth. So it started with just some goopy stuff kind of coming out and her acting funny. I had noticed that morning that before we even saw any like physical signs, she was acting strange. She would be walking and then just kind of pause and put her head down, almost like she was contracting or there was something was happening. So I had been watching her extra closely on that day, and then sure enough, later on that afternoon, we actually started seeing signs that labor was happening. The lambs were coming. So over a span of about 3 hours, she continued laboring. She would lay down, she would stand up. There was lots of pawing going on. She would paw at the ground and lay down and stand up. Things were coming out. There was like bags of water, multiple. Some of them were like dark in color. I'm kind of explaining all of this for people who are interested because maybe you have sheep of your own or you plan to get them in the future. And so that's why I'm kind of explaining this, because I had trouble finding a video that really shared just the progression basically of labor in a ewe sheep. So this went on for about 3 hours where there was things coming out. It was very apparent that she was in labor. And then about 3 hours into it is when she started doing some more pushing, and then we finally noticed hooves coming out. So there were hooves sticking out. We were like, this is good news. That's exactly what you want. You want the lambs to be presenting with their hooves, and then their nose should be like right in between. So that's what you're looking for. Hooves first, and then hopefully if everything is just right, you would see the nose of the lamb start to come through. If you don't see hooves and you see something else, you might have to intervene in some way. Sometimes the hooves will come out, but the head is bent back. One of the vets that I ended up calling told me that you can get a hoof from each baby, which I think is pretty rare, but that scared me when she said that, because I was like, that sounds like a mess. A hoof from each baby would be just so difficult to work with, because it is just so tight in there. They're definitely a smaller animal compared to like a cow or something like that, where you see people able to kind of like stick their whole arm in. It is not so for a sheep. It is very tight, and so I have no idea how you would get in there and maneuver things around if they weren't right. So I was able to see that the hooves, the direction that they were facing, it seemed like it was the front hooves and not the back ones, and eventually we could tell that it was the face coming in between. Now the sheep labored like this, pushing with contraction. She would lay down and push and stand back up again, walk around, lay down and push, stand back up again. This went on for a long time. This is when I started to think something might be wrong. I just had a feeling that it was too long, that the time from we saw the hooves should have been faster, the delivery should have been faster, that the lamb should have already been here. So probably about an hour in to us having been able to see the hooves, I started to get on the phone with the vets. It was starting to get late at this point. It was dark, and I called the first vet, emergency after hours kind of situation. And first of all, they wouldn't come and help me because we were not an established patient. They were nice enough to talk to me over the phone, although they were not very helpful. They did not tell me that the baby should have been out already. They basically gave me no advice except that if I can see the hooves in the face, everything's probably fine. So this continued for like another hour. So we're 2 hours into being able to see the hooves. She is pushing and pushing, and no progress is being made. No changes at all. I knew something was wrong. I was like, this is not good. I tried going in there multiple times and pulling the hooves myself. This particular sheep is extremely skittish and stays far away from us, so that didn't work. The hooves were way too slippery, and she just ran off, and there was no way that I could grab them. She wasn't electric netting, so there wasn't really a way for me to pin her in a small area, so that made it super challenging to try to get in there and help her out with this. So 2 hours in, I call another vet, a different one. I'm like, let me see if they can help me. So same story with this vet. He talked to me a little bit about some things to try, basically trying to pull it out kind of thing, but he also wasn't concerned about the amount of time that had passed since we saw the hooves. So I had texted our sheep mentor earlier in the day saying that we could see the hooves, but she's not progressing. That's what I said. I just sent a text and said that. I didn't want to bother her with it. But I just sent that, and I thought if she happens to have time, maybe she'll respond and tell me the amount of time that, that this part of labor takes, the pushing part. So fast forward 3 hours later, it's around 8:15 in the evening. She's still making no progress. I am like starting to freak out at this point. The adrenaline is just like rushing through my body. I'm like, I start worrying about her dying. And then of course I'm thinking at this point that the baby is probably dead. The one that's there, that had been there for so long. My sheep mentor calls me and she says, so what happened? Did she have her baby? And I was like, no, it's still there. Like, all we see are the hooves and the face, and it will not come out. And she's like, oh my gosh, you have to get the baby out. You have to pull that lamb or the mom's gonna die. And almost definitely she thought that the lamb, at least the first lamb, was dead. So I was freaking out even more at that point, thinking like, at first I just wanted some healthy lambs, and now I'm like, just please don't let this mom die. Like, if the lambs are gone, then they're gone. But I really didn't want to lose this sheep. That would have just been so devastating. The kids are all watching with me. They've been with me the whole time, watching this whole thing go down, which I prepared them for thoroughly in the weeks leading up to this, that anything could happen. We went over all the scenarios. So they knew that things could go south at any minute. So the kids and I rallied. I was able to get one of those like portable dog pen things. We've put the goats in them before, like when we took them to our church for an event. And we were able to kind of corral her in that and then close it in to where she could just barely turn around. So the kids and I, while we waited for my husband to get home from work, we tried for a bit, but it just wasn't working. She is a big sheep, very strong, and the kids couldn't hold her still while I tried to pull the hooves. So I called my husband. I'm like, you need to get here as soon as you can. He was already on his way home, thankfully. He shows up at like 8:25 and gets like changed, runs outside. He holds onto her, and I'm able to get in there finally. I'm pulling the hooves. They were not budging. The head was so lodged in there, it was crazy. Like, there was no way she could have delivered this lamb on her own. So I ended up having to like go in there, maneuver around, and basically what I did was grab behind the eye sockets essentially on the head. That was like the only grip. I had read that you're not supposed to pull the neck, which makes a lot of sense, but you can grab like around their head. So I was able to get my hands in and grab behind the eye sockets and start to pull, and that released the baby. It was just so lodged up in there. And so after that, I was able to kind of grab the hooves and pull down onto the ground. She goes, and immediately she hits the ground and starts wiggling and lifting her head up. And we're just like, all of us start crying at this point, because we were just so relieved that the baby was out and that the mom was alive, and then also the fact that the baby was alive was like, really felt like a miracle to us based on the things that the vets had told me and our sheep mentor had told me as well. From the information that I had given, it seemed like that first one was probably dead.
It's
Starting to bleed a little bit, I think.
Oh my word, I can't believe it's alive.
She said if it was alive, it'd feel warm, and it felt awfully warm to me. I know, I feel so bad for her. I wish I had something to give her. We might need to get her on antibiotics or something, as much as I had to stick my hands in there. I see you, you little cute black lamb. Mama's already doing what she's supposed to be doing for you. Ooh. She's a girl, turns out. The kids named her Miracle. They're calling her Mira. So she was a very large lamb, though. She still is quite a bit larger than her brother. So mom starts licking off the baby immediately. I mean, it starts trying to stand up within like 30 seconds or a minute. It was truly amazing. All the kids got to be out there. We had our flashlights and headlamps, and we were watching this whole thing happen. Almost immediately we see another set of hooves. So we decide, after all that the mom had been through with that, to go ahead and give her space. We all go inside, kind of get ourselves together. We let the mom finish licking off the baby, and maybe 10-15 minutes goes by. Scott and I come back out to check on the mom, and we get out there just in time to see her lay down and push the second baby out without any problems. That baby is active, moving around. I helped her clean it off a little bit. It had gotten pretty cold at this point. The sun was down. Helped her get it cleaned off, cleared the nose and mouth area, and then that one started trying to stand up very shortly after as well. So all in all, it ended up being a happy ending, but it was quite a traumatic, I guess, or dramatic birth for our first sheep lambing on the farm. But you know, with everything that happens, I just feel like we learn so much, and I have so much more knowledge now about, you know, the progression of labor, what to expect once you can start to see the lamb's hooves, and basically what I have read now since then. I couldn't find this information when I really needed it, but it really should be like 30 minutes to 1 hour. The baby should be born 30 minutes to an hour after you see the hooves start to present. So the baby was in the birth canal for 3 hours, which I know is not good, really bad, but I just wasn't able to get the information that I needed when I needed it. But happy ending to the story. The lambs are super healthy and vibrant, no issues whatsoever. They are nursing and jumping and playing and just having a ball. The mother recovered very well. I did end up finding a different vet because I wasn't happy with those 2 that I called in that kind of emergency situation. They just didn't seem very educated, and I just didn't have a good feeling about it. So I ended up contacting another vet who was super helpful, and he gave me medicine to give her, like injectable Banamine, I think it's called, which is a pain reliever and anti-inflammatory for her. So we gave her 2 shots of that like the day after she gave birth, and then the following day as well, just to kind of make sure that she was comfortable and to help her out a little bit from the rough delivery that she had, because I felt like I could still notice the next day that she was probably in pain, just from everything that had happened. So I definitely wanted to get that for her, just to make sure that she was comfortable and able to take care of the babies like she needed to. So there was a happy ending, but I did just want to share that for anyone who might gain some knowledge from our experience, and maybe it will help someone out there who is experiencing something similar or is going to experience something similar. So anyway, I hope the video was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. We're loving having the little lambs on the farm. So excited to have them here and to have our first lambing under our belts and to have learned so much in the process. Thanks for watching this video today, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.